this enough, Mo. This is catastrophic flooding. You cannot be on the roads right now, folks. It's not safe in Orange, Volusia, Seminole, Osceola County. It's also not safe just simply because of the wind in Brevard, over to Flagler, Marion, and Sumter County, as well as Lake County. But you and I were just noticing the pavilion, all that seating is underwater.
Yeah, this is incredible what we can see from our camera. We're able to zoom in, and the water level of Lake Eola has risen. And even though the rain has tapered here in Orlando, this is an ongoing situation that we can't stress enough. It's going to take a while for these waters to recede.
Yeah, and as one of our producers, Gary Darling, has shown video in the past, and I'm sure it's probably happening downtown, the sewer systems, they start to bubble up. And he's shown us video before in the past that he's taken of this happening. And that's another reason why you don't want to drive. You don't know if there's water over the road. You don't know how fast. You don't know if a sinkhole is opened up. One of those, sewer systems, the drainage system things pop off the middle. Could be a big issue. Right,
and getting into floodwaters, you and I teach classes on flood hazards, and we always remind people that there are hazards such as getting electrocuted.
Right.
And you could get impaled by sharp objects if you get into floodwaters. And you may think you have a big SUV and you can get through anything, and that's not the case.
And we have gators and snakes and all of that fun stuff, including chemicals. And like you mentioned, it's not good. Stay out of flooded roadways. Stay home. Just stay home. Listen to us. We're walking you through. I want to get over to Klystron 13, and Maureen's going to take some more timing with our model run here and show some of the wind speeds. But let's go ahead and take a look at the flash flood warnings that are in play are just widespread, and we currently also have flash flood emergencies, including the Little Allison, an historic event, to say the least. We've used the words to describe this as catastrophic, just unbelievable, the amount of water that came out of the sky and into our waterways. We have been here. If you were with us at 1 in the morning, we had the shot as we were kind of going through shift changes, keeping everybody fresh. We're still dealing with some flooding. An image from Lake Eola, live shot from our Weichert Realtors Hallmark Property Skycam. And the Disney Pavilion, that's what they call it, the Disney Pavilion down there, not the one at Disney Springs or down in the Disney area. This is the pavilion down at Lake Eola. The Christmas tree usually sits just off to the right side here. The pavilion seating area is underwater. Lake Eola is over its banks. It is over Robinson right now. Lake Ivanhoe has gone over its banks, as well as several other bodies of water. And we're not done with the rain just yet. And I tell you what, Mo, we were discussing this amongst the group here. In my entire over 26 years in this business, I've never seen an event like this with the flooding.
And I don't think any of us have ever seen a day where a flash flood emergency gets issued, let alone 3 of them. The active ones we have now are looking at 24-hour rainfall totals. The most imminent concerns with that flash flood emergency, it's that flashing box over Volusia County, also near the Little Wekiva River at Altamont Springs, ongoing life-threatening flood concerns.
Record rainfall in parts of the area for sure over the past day and a half. And the rain is starting to let up just a bit, but we still have some steady bands of rain working into portions of Volusia County, northern Volusia County around Port Orange, Daytona Beach, and stretching up into Palm Coast. So the center of Ian is right off the east coast, right around the Space Coast, and we'll likely get an update on Ian at any second. But regardless, that rain continues to fall there in Volusia County and Flagler County, starting to let up around Orlando, but flash flood warnings continue for all those polygons flashing in green right there.
Yeah, and as Allison mentioned a little while ago, while the strong winds, the worst of it seems to be moving out, we do still have some threats at this time. And I want to show you, we do have a storm surge warning that is in effect for parts of Flagler County. This is along the east coast near the ocean there. And I want to mention that in Flagler County, high tide is occurring at 4:31 this afternoon. So with those onshore winds, we could see some of that water getting pushed in quite a bit.
All right, so we're not quite done with it just yet, but let me tell you, the most intense weather is wrapping up. The most intense weather is wrapping up doesn't mean you go outside and you check out everything just yet. Hold off. Just stay inside today. Don't get on the roads. Allison and Eric, the team here, Amy Sweezy will be joining us a little later on this afternoon to bring some relief for the team as we kind of rotate in and out. But we're here for you all day long, and we will continue to update you as now Tropical Storm Ian continues to pull.
Yeah, we're checking with the hospital to see what the situation is, but the evacuations are definitely underway. The first floor flooded, according to Advent Health. We're actually a couple streets over on North Central Avenue. This is where some serious flooding is taking place near the Polo Run Apartments. You can see down there in the distance, you have a couple of cars that are absolutely flooded out. The car there in the foreground does have its lights on. We're not sure if there's anyone in that car at this time, but you can sort of see the lights of the car flickering from time to time. And then you go a little bit further down to the right and you have another vehicle that is almost totally submerged in these floodwaters, which are happening here on Central. And then if you'll pan just a little bit to the left, you can see there's some type of boat or watercraft that is coming toward these cars right now. We're trying to see, again, we're seeing this in real time just as you are right now, if that is indeed an emergency official, some type of firefighter perhaps. You might be seeing it a little bit better, John, with your lens than I can see, but again, you see some other people there in the distance, but that is a watercraft, or at least maybe a four-wheeler that is coming toward these cars right now in these floodwaters. Again, this is not accessible by any means. This is absolutely flooded out where these vehicles are, but that official right there, actually it looks like a jet ski or a wave runner. That's what we're looking at. It looks like they're talking to the person in the car as we speak. So we'll see if they can assess the situation and try to see if they can get that person help. But again, that wave runner turning around at this moment. In the distance, you see some at least city vehicles that are assessing the situation too. It's hard to tell just how widespread this flooding is, but Central here is flooded out near the Polo Run apartment homes as these two vehicles are here. So that's what we're looking at right now as the rain continues right now. So that is not helpful at all, but this roadway right here is not accessible. People are urged to not drive down here, and especially
Allison, Eric, good morning. I want to just take a moment to kind of explain kind of the causes and effects here. You heard Governor DeSantis say that this is a potentially 500-year event. Well, a lot of the retention ponds in Central Florida are designed and made for either the 25-year event or the 100-year event. But I want to also show you just kind of the impacts of the high Little Wekiva River is having, okay? So behind me, this is actually not the Little Wekiva River. This is a creek and drainage area that flows into the river. The problem is, on the other side, that's one of those retention ponds. Well, guess what? It's flooded. It's coming into here. Over my other shoulder, this is all swampland here in Seminole County. Guess what? It's flooded. It's designed also to go down this path, down towards eventually the Little Wekiva River. We're painting over. So all this water now is in people's backyards, right? And kind of just think of it, and I hate to use this analogy, I'm not trying to be funny, but just think of it like you're at the deli counter taking a number. Everybody is now in this situation waiting for that water to go down so that this water has a place to go. So that is why we're seeing elevated water levels. That's why we're seeing this flooding. It's because right now, with the Little Wekiva River is so high, there's just nowhere for this water to go. And that's what people are hoping for, is the rain hopefully stops throughout the day and slows down. Reporting live in Seminole County, Asher.
This is going to be that westbound on-ramp from State Road 46, the Sanford area. Looks like a wrecker just arrived. They're on the top of this car here, which stalled in this flooded waters right now. So that ramp remains blocked. You can see FHP's there on scene. We'll take you over to Walt Disney World. This is a look here at that I-4 eastbound ramp to Epcot Center Drive. Also flooded right now. Looks like a vehicle may have stalled. Road Ranger just arrived on scene. FHP also there blocking those lanes. Those new express lanes, they are flooded right now near Universal. This is near Kirkman Road, where you can't use them in the westbound or eastbound directions right now. You can see how it's also raining, and it almost looks like a river here in the median. We'll take you over to Ivanhoe. This is going to be Ivanhoe Boulevard, and Lake Ivanhoe actually on Ivanhoe Boulevard right now. So it is flooded right here underneath I-4. We're dealing with some major issues with flooding on the turnpike right now. You can see that purple coloration indicating it is blocked blocked between the Beach Line and Orange Blossom Trail and the 408, so avoid the turnpike. In fact, you should stay off the roads for the time being. Still dealing with these flooded conditions out there, but if you do have to be out there, if you're a first responder or for some other reason, remember to turn around. Do not go in those flooded waters. Don't go to the airport. It's blocked. Most of the major roadways around MCO are blocked right now. Dealing with those major issues we saw with Rebecca Turco here in Kissimmee. This is 192 and Orange Blossom Trail. Big closures in that area because of the flooding.
Yeah, well, we're seeing rain, we're dealing with rain, and we're seeing flooding. And I want to give you a sense of what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. Emergency crews have had to rescue folks all throughout the overnight into this morning. I'm not sure if you can see, but we have a National Guard crew right now making their way to a car that appears to be stalled in the flooded water here. Remember, this is why we say turn around, don't drown, because you may not realize how flooded the area is. Us ourselves on our way to Kissimmee earlier this morning, we had to take a roundabout route because so many streets were flooded in the Orlando area. So this is what we're dealing with, and we actually spoke with the Osceola County Sheriff earlier this morning, and he said from the overnight through this morning, they have rescued dozens of people from their homes, folks whose homes were flooded, their streets were flooded. And this is really the picture of what we're expecting to see throughout all day and beyond. It's really a question of the extent of the flooding in the area, and that's what the sheriff, that's what first responders and the Army National Guard are working to determine as they make their way through the area. So something certainly to keep in mind, and it's something we're keeping an eye on too. We spoke with a resident earlier who said that they started noticing flooding around 3:30 this morning, and they were rescued around 9, a National Guard airboat making its way throughout the area. So those folks were told have been brought to nearby shelters based on their needs. So folks with pets were brought to a shelter where they can handle pets. Folks with special needs were brought to shelters where the generators can handle the certain equipment that they need. So these folks are getting help, and first responders, we're told, are out and about searching for more as they make their way through these flooded waters, making sure folks are safe. So we're going to keep an eye on this and keep you posted. But as you can see, obviously, this roadway here is closed, and it's a question right now of just how much of Kissimmee is closed due to this extensive flooding. Reporting live in Kissimmee, Rebecca Turco, Spectrum News.
All right.